Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Safe Money Mindset, the show dedicated to helping you defend your wealth. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me are two members from Quest Commonwealth. We have Jeff Perry, he is the co-owner, and Rick Williams, who's a senior retirement planner. One of the key ways you can help defend your wealth is with a pension. We're going to be talking about pensions today, but what if you don't have one? Did you know that you can actually create a personal pension for yourself? So stay with us. We have a lot to get to, but first, Jeff, Rick, it's great to be in the studio with you.
Well, thanks for having us again. Thank you.
Absolutely,
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, great to be here.
And I know we had Bill recently, and now we have Rick. It's just, it's great to get to meet more members of the Quest Commonwealth
Absolutely.
team.
We're starting to call this center seat the hot seat.
Yes.
Right.
So are you ready for it, Rick?
I'm ready.
You were born ready. I
yeah,
love
exactly.
It.
Very much so.
Great. Well, you all are based, Quest Commonwealth, in the Detroit area, and you serve clients not only throughout the state of Michigan, but all over the country as well. But this topic today is particularly important for folks in the Detroit area. It's one of the most unionized states, Michigan as a whole, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You've got clients who have pensions. We're going to talk about that. But we're also going to talk about what do you do if you don't have a pension and you want to make sure that you can have guaranteed income that will last you for the rest of your life. So first up, Rick, I'd love to hear a little bit more. You know, I think folks are familiar with the term pension, but let's start off by helping folks understand what traditional pensions are, what they look like, and why they're such a rare thing today.
Well, thank you. And a traditional pension plan gives retirees a set amount of money, so it's guaranteed. It's almost, it is a promissory note from your employer. And it's all based off of your salary and how long you've worked there. But you did state something, Kristen. They're becoming obsolete. They're not being offered like they were. So employers put money into the plan, and with that promissory note, you know what you're going to receive for your income when you go to retire. Now, the employer actually handles the investment. So if the investment doesn't do that well, then the employer has to make up that difference to guarantee that promissory note. So no matter what happens, the employee is promised that money.
Right, and it was something that I think a lot of folks used to count on. I mean, it used to be you worked at the same company maybe for 30, 40 years. It came time to retire. You had a pension, you had a gold watch, you were set, right? Plus, we weren't living as long as we are now. So talk about why pensions have really gone away, because obviously this was a great thing for employees.
Right, well, the reason that they're going away is the cost. It's very expensive for a corporation to manage a pension,
right,
and that type of thing. So they're getting away from that, and they're not offering that as a benefit like they used to be. They're going more into the 401ks, like, hey, now we're going to do that. The negative with the 401k is the employee now is responsible for that investment vehicle or managing their own investments, but from an employer's standpoint, that cost is very minimal.
So they've gone away a lot, but obviously being in the Motor City, I know that you still work with a ton of clients, Jeff, who have pensions. So talk about some of the examples of folks that you're working with and how you're helping them navigate what their pensions offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have again, you said it earlier, Michigan is a very unionized state, and with unions traditionally come pensions. That was a big, defined benefit plans were a big part of union action, especially going back to like the 1940s and 50s. So Michigan, very pension heavy. A lot of these companies are going away. We're the Motor City, so we have General Motors, we have Chrysler, we have Ford Motor Company, but there are others. My dad worked for UPS for 30 years. There's a pension there. My mom worked for Henry Ford Healthcare System, not the car company, but the healthcare system. There's a pension there, right? On my wife's side, her father worked for Wyandotte Chemical, which became BASF, and then so there's a pension there. So there's pensions from a lot of these other companies, and yeah, you're right. Like the pension plan going back, decades was, pay off your house, collect your pension. In other words, lower your expenses so your pension can cover and you're guaranteed
even
that.
further for you, right?
But when you look at companies, you go back to like 2009 in the crisis, 2008, 2009, the financial crisis. You look at a company like General Motors, where their pension was vastly underfunded at the time, along with other companies. I'm not picking on them. But I'm talking about them because there was a lot of interviews, and the CFO was being interviewed, and they were saying basically we're a pension company that sells cars on the side, and we have 70,000 employees right now, but we have 700,000 retirees collecting a pension from us. And so, as Rick was saying earlier, as the pension, goes up and goes down, if the pension goes, the stock market goes down, the company has to make up for those payments. If someone's supposed to get $2,000 or $2,500 or $3,000 a month, and the pension fund goes down because of the stock market, the company has to step in. So now we have...
They're liable for it.
Yeah, they're reliable for it. So we do have a lot of clients that are collecting monthly pensions. We actually have clients that opt for the lump sum, and that's another thing we can talk about, because a lot of these companies trying to get the pension off their books, they're saying, hey, listen, I want to lower my pension, my monthly pension obligation, so let's start offering these lump sum buyouts.
Right, so let's talk about that to help, because that's a critical decision that folks with a pension need to make.
Absolutely. So, for instance, we had a client that retired from AT&T. My wife actually retired from AT&T and took a lump sum, pension. She took an early retirement when they offered that. But we have other clients that retired from AT&T, and I think of a client of ours named Phyllis, who actually was a client of ours prior to retirement. We were helping her get ready for retirement for years, and then when she finally pulled the trigger, she wanted that monthly pension, but she wasn't, even though the AT&T pension at the time was fully funded, she didn't have confidence in the management of that company. And she felt like, hey, if I'm going to be in retirement for 20, 30 years, I feel like 10 years down the road or maybe longer, they might not be good financially. So I'm just not confident. That's what she was saying. I'm not confident that they're going to be able to make these monthly payments to me, and I'm afraid they're going to have to, at some point, restructure my monthly payment. And so she's like, so I'm thinking I might take the lump sum, but I don't know about managing that money. And we're going to talk about that a little later in the episode. But Phyllis took that lump sum, and then we took a big portion of that and turned that into our personal pension. And we're going to tell you how to do that a little later in the show. But that's one of the things. But we also have people that take the monthly pension, and then they have some, maybe they saved up in a 401k, and we help manage that. Like a client of ours, Aaron, took the monthly pension, but he had a good savings in his 401k, and we managed that. And what I love about the fact that he didn't take the lump sum, and that's okay, it's less money that we're going to manage the company. But what I love about that is the fact that it's actually less pressure on us as a company that providing income. Our company at Quest Commonwealth, we distribute well over $1 million a year in retirement income to our clients. Because we have so many people that are taking distributions off investments, they're not getting that traditional pension. So when you're getting that traditional pension in one way, shape, or form, it helps with the income management as well.
The other thing, Jeff, a great point is that you bring up that they take that lump sum. The one thing that's nice about that is they are in control of their income. They're not relying on corporations to make the right decisions. So that's a great point.
Well, and you have so many more investment options available 100%. To you. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. Inside of a pension, you may have, I know we deal with several corporations, they may have 8 to 12 different options for portfolio. But when you come out of that pension and you do take that lump sum, it opens up the horizon to hundreds and hundreds, thousands of options if you'd like. So now you are more in control of what's going to happen. The other thing is if you die, what does that look like for your spouse or your beneficiaries? With a pension, you die and you don't have a spousal continuation on it, it stops, and guess who gets the money? It's kind of like getting Social Security, which is a pension, right? You die and you haven't taken it out a lot or taken Social Security for a long time. Who wins in that one? The government does. Exactly.
Well, it's so much that we can get into with this, and I know that a lot of folks watching, they might still have a pension or be coming upon making some of these important decisions. So what would you say to someone who's in that situation?
Yeah, if you're approaching retirement, or you're thinking about, should I take, if you have that option, a lot of people in automotive or in some of the other companies that I mentioned, like AT&T, you have that option of a monthly payment versus lump sum. And it might have sounded like we're really pushing that lump sum right now, but we're not. There's actually pros and cons to both sides, and that's going to be very individualized. So if we can help you make that decision for you, we can also put together for you in our complimentary consultation, we can put together a no-cost analysis for you. We can analyze your entire retirement. We can model it out in the future, take into consideration, taxes and inflation and your income and your expenses and everything, and you make that appointment with us. And if you do, once you show up, I'll actually give you a copy of our free book as well, Safe Money Mindset, and this has got a roadmap in there to a successful retirement as well.
Wonderful. Jeff, Rick, I'm excited to continue this conversation with you. To our viewers at home, if you would like to be able to schedule your time to come in and claim your complimentary written financial plan, it's really simple. All you need to do is call that number on the bottom of your screen, 888-959-4830. Or if you don't want to talk to someone right now, but you do have your smartphone handy, if you simply pull it out, open up that camera app, and if you point, click, and scan that QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, that will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Quest Commonwealth will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary visit that way as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to be diving more deeply into this pension conversation, along with what do you do if you don't have a traditional pension, how you can help create one for yourself. Stay with us.
I became a financial advisor by actually getting financial advice. So I used to work in upper management for a large, like Fortune 30 company, and I managed TV advertising operations actually across the country. And my wife and I needed financial advice. She was retiring early and was getting, her pension, her 401k and everything. We needed to talk to somebody. And upon interviewing some other firms and then upon advice from one of our friends, we went and talked to Bill and Jean, who are my business partners at Quest. I hired them on to be my financial planners. And a year later, I left corporate and went and started working there and then became a partner there. And we've just expanded, and the rest is history. I enjoy meeting with people and helping them, give them a sense of relief, peace of mind. I remember my journey when my wife took an early retirement, and there was just a lot of confusion out there, and I didn't feel like anybody was really listening to what I wanted until I met with Bill and Jean, my business partners. And once I got the education and understood everything, then I was very comfortable. And then I wanted to give that to other people, because I was going back to my job and I was talking to my peers and my friends at work, and I'm like, are you doing this? Are you doing this? And they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I realized there was a big hole in the market. There was a need for this education. So that's why I love to stand in front of the biggest group of people I can possibly stand in front of and give them the straight skinny on what really it is, with not a lot of jargon or a lot of insider talk.
Welcome back to Safe Money Mindset. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with two members from Quest Commonwealth who are dedicated to helping you defend your wealth. We have Jeff Perry, he is the co-owner, and Rick Williams, senior retirement planner. We are talking today a lot about pensions, and we know that a lot of folks in the Detroit Motor City area have access to a pension. A lot of folks do not, though. Pensions have really become a thing of the past, and a lot of folks have the bulk of their wealth saved up for retirement in things like 401ks and traditional IRAs. So let's shift gears a little bit and now talk about some of the things that are crucial for individuals to understand who are now navigating the fact that the burden of their retirement has been placed on their shoulders.
Well, the main purpose of that is to make early and informed planning. Make sure that you're planning now for the future, because guess what? It happens pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Retirement happens very quick. And understanding the investment vehicles that you're in, mm-hmm. understanding what your risk management is, and as you get closer to retirement, what is your risk management? Mm-hmm. We see people all the time that are still in the same risk portfolio that they were in 20 years prior to that. And understanding the three phases of retirement, which is accumulation, preservation, and distribution. Mm-hmm. So all of those things are a key, because, again, retirement happens sooner than you think.
Right, for sure. And with that comes some challenges and opportunities. So, Jeff, I know you help folks navigate. I always say that the burden was placed on our shoulders, but we weren't given an instruction manual on how to do this,
No,
right?
not at all. We're talking pensions. And these companies, they're managing billions and trillions of dollars in these pensions, and they're hiring the brightest minds to do that, to mm-hmm. manage this. And even they struggle, because I talked about the example before, where these giant pensions, if the pension goes down in the market, these big companies have to change the way they manage their company in order to meet their pension obligations. And these are the top minds managing these funds and trying to traverse the stock market. So now we've moved this responsibility over to the employee. Mm-hmm. You're managing your own 401k and your investments. So the challenges of that, exactly that. First of all, lack of financial education, which is what we're trying to help with right now and throughout these shows. So tune in and check out our website, questcommonwealth.com, to find out more. But we're trying to educate people so they can be more prepared. And then, making sure that, you're taking your risk assessment. That's the most important thing. I mean, I think about 2008. Now, I was in my 30s in 2008 when we had that, and my 401k went way down just like everybody else's. But I saw an opportunity because I was younger and I had a long time horizon, and I put more money in since everything was low. But I had coworkers at the old company I used to work at that were in their 60s. They were thinking of retiring next year, and suddenly their whole life changed because they did not change their investments.
Right.
And I really felt for them, even though it was an opportunity for me. but I really felt for them because they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, they didn't have time on their side
No.
like you did, and that's the difference.
That's right. And so like what Rick was saying is checking your risk as you get closer. And as you know you're going to retire in the next few years,
Right.
you have to mitigate that risk. And if you're already over 59 and a half, okay, because that's the key thing about 401ks and these programs, the 59 and a half. If you're under that and you take money out, you're going to pay not only the taxes, but a 10% penalty.
Right.
But if you're over 59 and a half, even if you're still working, you can move that money out of that program and into an individual retirement account. And that opens up the entire world of investments. Even if you just wanted to put that money in U.S. Treasuries for the last year of working in order to try to keep it safe, something like that, you could do that. And that's just an example. So there's safer options out there outside of the 401k.
For sure, yeah. Well, and I think everyone's navigating all the challenges, no matter what you have going on, of market volatility. Inflation is the top of everyone's minds. We have interest rate risk. We have so many risks that we can't eliminate. We can only mitigate them. So, Rick, when you're working with folks and really developing a solid financial plan, how do you help people navigate these challenges within what they've accumulated during their hardworking years?
Well, the big thing is what do they want their retirement to look like? What do they want to do in retirement? And I've done hundreds and hundreds of financial plans, and a lot of times couples will come in and the husband wants to move to North Carolina and the wife wants to stay in Michigan. So even couples, they don't speak about what they want to do in retirement. So they have different goals and objectives. So what we do is we look at those goals and objectives. And again, as we've been talking about risk tolerance, if you don't know what your risk tolerance is, and that risk should be brought back or put the reins on it a little bit as the closer you get to retirement, because as Jeff stated, in 2008, if you lost 30% of your portfolio or your life savings, what is that going to do for your retirement goals? What's going to happen is you're going to postpone retiring, you're going to work longer, or you're going to have to cut back in the way that you want to live in retirement. So those are the things to look at and keep in mind, because we're not so much in the accumulation phase now. We're starting to get more into preservation as we get 5 to 6 years prior to retirement. You really need to look at it.
Right, and it's a mindset shift that happens. I know it's really hard for folks to go from the growing years where you're so used to saving money and putting money away to now going, oh my gosh, this is what I have to live off of. I have to spend this money now, right? I mean, that's an important shift that has to be made.
It's 100% an important shift. And if you think about that, you say you spend 30 years, accumulating money, you have this accumulation mindset. And because your income is coming from a paycheck, so you're not really worried about income because you have your job. But when you go into retirement, you have to understand that job goes away and the income has to come from somewhere else, whether it be a pension or you're taking it off of your savings, which taking it from your savings is happening more often than not these days. So if you have to really change your mindset, and you'll find, even if it's not in your first year of retirement, you'll find by year 2, you will stop thinking about growth and you'll start thinking about income. And if you're not having this conversation with your current advisor, if you're working with a financial professional and it's been years since they've talked to you about your risk, okay, you have to ask yourself why. Are they preparing you? Are they an accumulation advisor? Are they really good at growing your funds, but really don't have a distribution plan? So if that's the case, get a second opinion, okay? Give Quest Commonwealth a call. We'll give you a no fee consultation. You'll get our book by showing up, and we'll build an entire retirement analysis for you at no cost. And that's going to cover your income, your expenses. It's going to cover inflation. We're going to put a little bit of growth on there, and we can stress test this thing. We can stress test the 2008 scenario and see what would happen, and make sure that no matter what happens, we have you set and well balanced.
Wonderful. Jeff, Rick, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, to claim that complimentary written financial plan, all you need to do is call that number on the bottom of your screen, 888-959-4830. Or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code, and that will get you connected as well. We've been talking about it all throughout this show, but when we come back, we're going to answer this question of what do you do if you don't have a pension, a traditional pension, but you want to create one for yourself? Stay with us.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carolyn 5. Happy birthday to you.
morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there every square. Happy birthday to you. As you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Well, welcome back to Safe Money Mindset. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with two members of Quest Commonwealth. We have Jeff and Rick. I tried to combine your names there. It came out Jiff. Look at that.
Jeff.
All right,
Jeff and
exactly.
Rick.
That's the first time I've been told.
We are talking today, one of the aspects of defending your wealth are certainly having pensions, knowing you're going to have that guaranteed income that's going to last you the rest of your life. But what do you do if you don't have a traditional pension through your employer? How can you create your own? So I'm excited to hear how you guys do this for folks.
Yeah, so let's just talk real quick about how the big boys are managing their pensions these days. So they understand. We talked about that earlier. If the stock market takes a tumble and the pension goes down, it really puts the employer in a bind of how they're going to meet that. So they're actually moving a lot of their investment over. Many of these companies like GM and Ford have moved 60% of their pension into fixed income products. No, even though you're not going to get the biggest bang for your buck in a bull market, they know they can count on it. And I look at a company like AT&T that moved $8 billion from their pension fund that they manage for existing retirees, and they moved it to a company called Athene, which is an insurance company. And they basically bought an income annuity. Okay, and then now Athene is giving them. It didn't affect the retirees' amount of money that they're getting. It just who's providing it. Okay, so now instead of having a technology and communications company trying to provide that, you have an insurance company providing it that is set up for that and has been for 100 years. So think about that. You could do that yourself. You don't have to be this big, giant company to be able to move money over to an insurance company and build that pension through an income annuity. You can do that, and it doesn't even have to be Athene, although it can be, but there's literally hundreds of programs out there that do that. So you just kind of take some money that you saved, and you put it over to them into a program, and there's hundreds. I can't go into all of them right now how they work, but there's programs, and then they give you guaranteed income no matter how long you live. If you live to be 100, they're still going to give it to you.
That's amazing to think about. And I think that predictable stream of income is what most folks are wanting, right? And back in the day, we talked about this earlier in the show, most people didn't have 30 plus years of retirement to plan for. Most people were working until age 62 and then passing away as early as age 65. You could easily live another 30 years once you've retired. This is why we've got to make sure that we have enough income there to last us.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I know too, Rick, you were sharing during the commercial break with us about the statistic of how many people have had to go back to work because they haven't had this kind of plan in place.
Exactly. It was just brought out maybe 4 weeks ago that 1 out of 8 retirees now have had to return back to work because when they were getting their financial plan, if they even had one, they weren't taking into consideration inflation, increased in expenses for themselves, health expenses that have gone up and that type of thing. So now they're having to return back to work, which they never wanted to do that. And that isn't the reason that we retire, right?
Right, for
Not
sure.
to go back to
and
work.
some people want to keep working longer. That's
100%.
happening. But if that's you, we want you to work because you want to, not because you have to. That's
Right,
the key
right.
difference.
It should be your choice if you're going to do that. And a lot of what's happening I'm seeing is because of the internet. And the internet's a great thing, and there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there too, or there's a lot of contradicting information. And in retirement, sometimes both sides of that contradicting information is correct. And the reason is because they have a specific person in mind when they're writing that blog, or they're shooting that video, or they're at TikTok, or whatever it is. Okay? And that's the whole thing. We cannot do rule of thumb type of management. Well, I've got to have $2 million. Who are they talking to? Or you should defer your money all the time in working years. Who exactly are they talking to? You should start mitigating your risk at 60. I start mitigating my risk at 45 because I'm a really conservative guy. Okay, so who exactly are they talking to? So you have to work with a financial professional to really figure this out. And to go from a growth mindset to an income mindset is uncomfortable for most people because you're not used to it. It's a change. And anytime we're changing something that we've been doing for 30 years and we're changing the way, I'm used to getting a paycheck. Every 2 weeks I get a paycheck, and I'm used to getting that. And now instead of getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, I'm actually trying to live off of a pool of money that I saved. Some people can't even go on vacation on a pool of money that they've saved. Hey, I've saved up $3,000. I'm going to go on vacation and they're like, well, we got 3 days left and we're almost out of money. We're going to have to start using the credit card. So if you can't plan it for a week or 2 weeks, how can you plan it for 20 or 30 years? Well, that's what we do every day. We
Right.
do that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the questions you have to ask when you're talking to a financial professional. You have to understand that, are they fiduciaries? Yes. Are they fee-based? Yes. And we check both those boxes. But more importantly, what is your income or what's your investment philosophy? Are you income-based or are you accumulation advisor? Can you give me examples? Who are you working with? These are the questions you really have to ask. And so you can come right out and say, how did you guys handle 2022? What did it look like? What did 2008 look like for you? And what did you do for your clients that were retired? Not what did you do for your clients that are saving money right now? Well, when the market went down, we put a lot more money in the market because they're still working. Great. But what did you do for those that are actually drawing income? What happened there?
Yeah, for sure. Well, if someone's watching today and they want to know, they're thinking, you know what, I never thought of it this way. I never thought that I could actually create a personal pension for myself. What would you say to that person and what would that conversation look like when they come in and meet with you?
Well, and based off of their goals and objectives, that's definitely what we want to do. And we listen to what they want to do in retirement or look at where they are today. And my philosophy is writing plans, financial plans, is up till now, here you are. From now on, this is where I want to be. So that's one of the things that we really look at and say, up till now, here you are. This is how you got there.
Right.
From now on, this is what you want to look like. And then take each one of those phases in retirement and make sure that you're prepared for that, and then look at all the indicators that you need to look at to make sure that you're prepared for if something
whatever
happened in the market.
happens, right?
Exactly.
And then,
exactly.
then constant reviews,
Right. Yes.
So it's like, this is what actually happened last year. We kind of thought this was going to happen. This is what actually happened. Let's update the plan with what actually happened and see what's
Right.
going to happen. How
Or
does that
changes
affect
in
the
your own
future?
life, right?
And say,
Exactly.
now you want to build a 529 for your grandchild. It's like, what does that look like? Where's that money coming from? We're going to buy a boat. We're going to buy a house. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So where's that going to come from? So all of those things have to be taken into consideration. So if you want to meet with a financial professional where we go over taxes, we go over expenses, we go over income, we go over all of it, and we build the whole thing for you, then come and meet with us, come and get the book, and we'll give you the financial analysis at no cost.
Wonderful. Jeff, Rick, thank you so much. Always a
you.
joy to be with you. And thank you so much for joining us here on Safe Money Mindset. Again, that number to call to claim your complimentary written financial plan, 888-959-4830, or scan that QR code to get connected. We appreciate you watching. We look forward to being back with you next time here on Safe Money Mindset.